I wish I could cut it off. The humiliation is too much, Zara whispered in tears. Dinma rushed over and held her. Don't ever say that again. Do you know how many women pray to have a daughter like you? Do you know how many times I went to the shrine and fasted for a child before God brought you to me? Madam, your baby is fine. But did you say you ate giraffe meat before delivery? Amara nodded shyly. Yes, the neck is from me. She's a strong girl. Everyone in the village of Umugo knew Amara as the woman who loved food. Not just ordinary food. Her cravings were special, strange, and sometimes very expensive. Amara was a young woman, beautiful and lively. Her husband, Okeke, was a hunter, a very strong and respected man in the village. They had been married for 2 years before the good news came. Amara was finally pregnant. Oh, from the first month of her pregnancy, Amara's cravings began like wildfire. Okeke, I want roasted rabbit meat, she shouted one early morning, holding her big belly and rolling on the floor like a child. Okeke, without question, rushed into the bush with his hunting tools and came back that evening with 2 fat rabbits. Amara smiled like a queen and devoured the meat before even greeting him. The next week, darling, I want fresh monkey pepper soup. Not too spicy, just the way Mama used to make it. Monkey again? Okeke asked. But his wife was already wiping imaginary tears from her eyes. Do you want our baby to come out with no eyes? That's what they say happens when a pregnant woman's cravings are denied. Okeke didn't want that kind of story, so he wore his hunting boots again and disappeared into the forest. The villagers soon started calling Okeke the running hunter because he was always in a hurry, chasing one strange animal after the other to feed his wife's cravings. Month after month, Amara ate everything: antelope, bush pig, porcupine, squirrel, grass cutter, and even pangolin. If it lived in the bush, Amara wanted to eat it. Sometimes she didn't even wait for the meat to cool before tearing into it like a lioness. The village women laughed behind her back. This one is eating like she's feeding twins, triplets, and a football team inside her womb. But Amara didn't care. Her only concern was that her stomach was happy. Okeke, on the other hand, was growing lean. Hunting every day, spending money on other hunters, buying spices and firewood for Amara's never-ending meals. It was a lot. Still, he loved his wife deeply and wanted the best for her and the baby. Finally, it was the 9th month. Amara's belly looked like a big calabash, ready to burst any moment. Everyone expected that by now she would stop craving strange things. But one early morning, just 3 days to her due date, Amara woke up and screamed, "Okeke!" Okeke ran inside holding his cutlass. What is it? Is it time? Is the baby coming? No, but something else is coming, Amara said, licking her lips. What is coming? I want giraffe meat. Silence. Giraffe meat? Yes, grilled giraffe meat, with a goosey soup and pounded yam. Amara, giraffes are not even common in this part of the forest. Even if I find one, bringing it down is not easy. Do you want me to die in the bush? Amara folded her arms and squeezed her face like a stubborn child. Then let me die first. Let the baby come out with 1 eye and 3 legs. You don't care about me or our baby. She lay on the ground, kicking and crying loudly. Okeke scratched his head in confusion. The next thing, she refused to eat, drink, or even talk. She's using hunger strike to kill me, Okeke shouted in frustration. But the matter was serious. The village elders came to beg Amara. The women tried to talk to her. She only repeated one sentence: giraffe meat or no peace. Okeke knew he had no choice. He called 4 of his hunter friends and told them, "Please help me find giraffe anywhere in the deep forest. My wife is ready to bring down the roof." After 2 days of searching, chasing, and sweating, they found one tall giraffe drinking water by a quiet stream. It wasn't easy, but they managed to bring the animal down and carry the meat back to the village. When Amara saw the giraffe meat, she danced with joy, big belly and all. She sang loudly while the women helped her cook. Egusi soup bubbling in the pot, pounded yam ready. Giraffe meat, you will not escape me today. The whole house smelled like paradise. Amara sat on a big chair like a queen with a mountain of pounded yam in front of her and steaming egusi soup filled with soft giraffe meat. She ate and ate some more. The plate was shaking. "Madam, take it easy," one woman warned. "Leave her," Okeki said. "Let her enjoy the giraffe. She nearly killed us over." Amara finished everything and licked her fingers. Then she smiled and said, "Now I can give birth in peace." 2 days later, it was time. "Labor, labor, the baby is coming." The women ran in with wrappers. The traditional midwife arrived. Okeki was pacing up and down like a madman. Amara was screaming and pushing. And finally, the baby arrived. A girl, a healthy girl, or so everyone thought. But then the midwife looked closely and gasped, what is this?" Everyone gathered around. The baby had a long neck. Not just long, very long, like something you only see in the zoo, like a giraffe. One woman whispered, "Maybe it's the giraffe meat she ate." Another said, "Ha! This child will need special wrapper. Normal baby cloth will not reach that neck." Okeki nearly fainted. Amara sat up, sweating and smiling. "Is she beautiful?" The women didn't know what to say. The baby was healthy, strong, and beautiful. But that neck. Whoever came to greet them at the house stood in shock, mouth wide open. Some people from the other village thought it was a joke. Others took small steps backward. "Madam, your baby is fine. But did you say you ate giraffe meat before delivery?" Amara nodded proudly. "Yes, the neck is from me. She's a strong girl." But deep inside, Amara began to wonder. Was this her doing? Had her cravings gone too far? Even the baby's first cries sounded like a baby giraffe calling for its mother. She was named Kamzi. Kamzi was now 1 month old. Even at that young age, her neck was already growing longer and longer. Amara felt like the ground should open and swallow her. Her husband, the hunter, tried to stay strong. He still loved the baby and believed she was a blessing. But Amara, she had made up her mind. She wanted the baby gone. One day she looked at baby Kamzi sleeping peacefully and hissed, "You brought shame into my life. You turned me into a joke. No one sees me anymore. They only see your long neck." That night, Amara did not sleep. She lay awake on her mat, her eyes wide open, waiting. As soon as Okeki left for hunting early the next morning, Amara stood up quietly. She wrapped Kamzi in a thick cloth and tied her on her back. She didn't take any bag, didn't tell anyone where she was going. She just walked. She walked far, deep into the bush. The air was cool, the leaves were wet with morning dew, birds were chirping, and small monkeys jumped from tree to tree. But Amara didn't stop. She looked left, looked right. No one was around. Then she saw a thick tree by a small footpath and stopped. She untied the cloth, looked at her daughter one last time and whispered, "You will thank me one day." She laid the baby under the tree, covered her with a wrapper so wild animals wouldn't see her easily, and ran back home. When she reached the village, she dropped to the ground and began to scream, "Help! My baby! My baby is gone!" People ran to her hut. "What happened?" She screamed louder. "I went outside to fetch water, and before I came back, my baby was gone." "Kidnappers!" someone shouted. "This is wickedness," another said. Amara rolled on the ground and cried crocodile tears, but deep inside, her heart was calm. No more shame, no more long neck, no more mockery. When Okeki came back from the forest and heard the story, he dropped his hunting bag and shouted, "My baby! My daughter! Who took her?" He cried, ran around the village, asked everyone, but no one knew anything. No one saw Amara leaving that morning. No one knew what she had done. But far away, deep in the bush, little Kamzi was still there. Her cloth was dusty, her small hands waving, her soft voice crying weakly, "Wah! Wah! Wah!" Her neck tilted to the side. She was tired, hungry, cold. Then suddenly, someone came. It was a woman walking with a sack of cassava on her head. Her feet were dusty, her wrapper was faded, her eyes looked tired. Her name was Dinma. She lived in a small, lonely hut far from the village, near the hills. She had no husband, no children. She was called the barren woman. Dinma had suffered for many years. People mocked her too. "You don't know the pain of childbirth," they used to tell her. But she had a kind heart. That morning, Dinma was walking back from her small farm when she heard something. "Wah! Wah!" She stopped and listened. Is that a baby? She dropped the cassava sack and ran toward the sound. There, beside a tree, she saw the baby, small, helpless, crying softly. She gasped. Who left a child here? She bent down quickly and picked her up. Then she saw it, the long neck. She didn't scream, she didn't drop the baby. She only stared for a moment, then hugged the baby tightly. Oh my God, who could do this to a child? She called out, "Hello? Is anybody here?" Silence. She looked around, but no one was near. Only trees, only silence. Then she looked down at the baby. The baby looked back at her and gave a small, tired smile. That was the moment Dinma's heart melted. I don't care what you look like, you are mine now. She used part of her wrapper to tie Kamsi on her back and carried her all the way home. When Dinma reached her small compound, she cleaned the baby, fed her with pap, and wrapped her in warm cloth. You are beautiful, she said. I don't care what anyone says. She didn't know the child's name, so she whispered, I will call you Chizaram. It means God answered me. That night, Dinma couldn't sleep. She just stared at the baby beside her, touching her tiny hands, watching her chest rise and fall. But deep in her heart, she was worried. Who left this child in the bush? Will they come back looking for her? She had no answers, but one thing was sure. She was not going to let go of the baby. Dinma named the baby Chizaram, but she always called her Zara for short. And that was the name the little girl grew up with. Zara grew fast. Her body looked like every other child's. Except for one thing, her neck. It was long, too long for a child. As she got older, the neck got longer. Some people said it looked like a rope. Others said she looked like a giraffe. But Dinma didn't care. She took care of Zara like her own daughter. She called her my sunshine, my miracle, and my answered prayer. God gave you to me, she would always say. And Zara, she didn't call Dinma auntie or madam, she called her mama. When Zara turned 6, Dinma took her to the village primary school. She dressed her in a clean uniform and tied her hair nicely. Zara was happy, but her first day in school turned into a sad day. As soon as she entered the class, one boy shouted, "Ha! See, giraffe." Another girl covered her mouth and giggled, "Why is her neck taller than the blackboard?" The whole class laughed and laughed. Zara stood quietly. Her eyes became red. Tears rolled down her cheeks. She went back home crying. "Mama, I don't want to go to school again. They are laughing at me." Dinma hugged her. "Zara, don't mind them. You are special. One day they will stop laughing." But it didn't stop. In school, during playtime, no one wanted to play with her. They would say, "Go and play with trees. They are your neckmates." Sometimes they threw paper at her back. Zara tried to smile. She tried to be strong. But when she came back home, she always cried in Dinma's arms. And Dinma would wipe her tears and say, "Zara, you are beautiful. Never forget that." Zara grew older. By the time she was 17, she had grown into a very fine girl. Her skin was smooth, her eyes were bright, her voice was calm. But still, her long neck remained. Even when she tied scarf, it didn't hide it. People in the village gave her a name. They called her the girl who sees tomorrow. Ah, with that kind of neck, she can see what's happening in the next village. Maybe she talks to the sky. People laughed. Even at the stream, when girls came to fetch water, they pointed at her and giggled behind her back. She should just join giraffes in the forest. Zara always walked quickly past them, head down, fighting her tears. But there was one person who didn't laugh. His name was Obiora, the most handsome and richest gold seller in the whole village. He was tall, fair, and always well-dressed. His gold chains shined in the sun. And every girl in the village dreamed of being his wife. Whenever Obiora passed Zara on the road, he would smile gently and greet her. "Hello, Zara." Zara would nod quickly and walk faster. Sometimes she thought, "Why is he greeting me? He should be laughing like the others." But Obiora didn't stop. Every week he would send foodstuff to Dinma's house: rice, beans, yams, even milk and soap. "Mama, who gave us these things?" Zara asked one day. Dinma smiled. "Obiora, he likes you." Zara turned away. "I don't want him. He's only pitying me." "Zara," Dinma said, "not everyone sees you the way others do." That boy is different. Zara looked at the floor. But Mama, look at me. Look at my neck. No man wants a girl like me. Dinma held her hand. Don't say that. You are worthy of love. You are beautiful. Even if your neck reaches the sky, you are still the child I prayed for. But Zara didn't believe it. She was afraid. She felt inferior. One afternoon, when the sun was hot and Zara was helping Dinma peel cassava, they heard loud voices. 3 young women were walking into their compound. Zara recognized the first one immediately. Chizome, Obiora's girlfriend, the one all the girls in the village feared. Chizome was tall, bold, and full of pride. Her friends followed her like bodyguards. As they entered, Chizome clapped her hands and shouted, "So this is where the giraffe lives." Zara froze. Chizome looked at her from head to toe and hissed, "You think because Obiora gave you some rice, you are now his wife, eh?" One of her friends laughed and added, "With that long neck, she will finish all his food before marriage." Another said she should go and marry Giraffe in the forest. Zara's eyes filled with tears. "Mama, please tell them to leave," she whispered. But Chizome turned to Dinma. "Old woman, you better warn your giraffe daughter to leave my man alone." Dinma stood up slowly, calmly. She was poor, her clothes were old, but her voice was strong. "My daughter did nothing wrong," she said. "Obiora came to us. We did not beg him." Chizome laughed harshly. "Of course he came. Maybe he likes zoo animals. And you? You should go and adopt Monkey next." Zara burst into tears. "Please go," she cried, "please." Chizome threw her hands up and turned to leave. But as they walked out of the compound, her voice echoed, "Stay away from my man, giraffe girl, or next time I will come with cane." When they left, Zara ran inside and slammed the door. Dinma followed her and sat beside her on the mat. She said nothing at first, then she reached out and touched Zara's hand. "My daughter, don't let people's words become your mirror. You are fearfully and wonderfully made." Zara cried and whispered, "Mama, I didn't ask to be like this. Why didn't my real mother want me? Why did she throw me away? Maybe she was right." Dinma's heart broke, but she kept her calm. "No, my child, your real mother lost a diamond and didn't know. Let the world laugh today, but one day they will see who you really are." Hours later, Zara still sat on the bamboo mat inside the small mud house, her face soaked with tears. She hugged her knees tightly and buried her face in them, shaking gently as she cried. "Mama, why did they say those things? Why? What did I do wrong?" Dinma sat beside her, her eyes filled with sorrow. She wrapped her arms around the only child she had ever called her own. "My child, the world can be very cruel to people they don't understand," Dinma whispered, "but don't let their laughter become your shame." Zara sniffled. Her nose was blocked and her eyes swollen from crying. "They called me Giraffe. They said I should go marry an animal, even Obiora's girlfriend. She insulted you, Mama." Dinma smiled gently and wiped Zara's cheeks. "Let them say what they want. What God has made beautiful, no mouth can spoil. You are my jewel." But Zara couldn't smile. Her heart was too heavy. She stood up slowly and walked to the corner of the room where an old mirror hung. She stared at her reflection for a long time. Her neck truly was long, longer than anyone else's in the whole village. She turned left and right, tilted her head up and down, but no matter what she did, the neck was still there, long, straight, and unmissable. "I wish I could cut it off," she whispered. Dinma rushed over and held her. "Don't ever say that again. Do you know how many women pray to have a daughter like you? Do you know how many times I went to the shrine and fasted for a child before God brought you to me?" Zara looked at her. "You really don't care about my neck." Dinma laughed, holding her chin. "I care about your heart, not your neck. And if people say your neck is long, tell them it's long enough to reach heaven and hear God faster." Zara giggled just a little. For the first time that day, a weak smile appeared on her face. The next day, rumors spread all over the village. Obiora's girlfriend went to fight the giraffe girl. They said she's using her long neck to collect blessings before others. Dinma's daughter is now causing village problems. Zara avoided the market square. She didn't go to the stream. She stayed indoors all day, pretending to pound yam for no one or sweeping the same spot over and over. But Obiora didn't stop sending foodstuff. In fact, he increased it. 2 yams became 5. 1 cup of rice became a full bag. He even sent fresh palm oil, gari, and a small bottle of perfume. Dinma's eyes widened as she received the items. "Zara, this boy is serious. He even sent 2 wrappers for me." But Zara refused to come out of the room. "I don't want anything from him." Dinma sighed. "My daughter, how long will you punish yourself? Can't you see this boy sees more than your neck?" But Zara shook her head. "I'm not like the girls he should marry. I'm just a joke to the whole village." That evening, while Dinma was in the backyard washing bitter leaf, Zara heard a gentle knock on the door. Knock, knock. She tiptoed to the curtain and peeped. It was Obiora. She gasped and ran to the inner room. "Mama," she called out in whispers. "Mama, he's here." Dinma rushed in, her hands still wet. "Who?" "Obiora." Dinma smiled widely. "Eh? Let me go and greet him like a proper mother-in-law." "Mama, please don't embarrass me." But it was too late. Dinma wiped her hands on her wrapper and opened the door. "Obiora, welcome, my son," she said, smiling brightly. He bowed slightly. "Good evening, Ma." Zara stood behind the curtain, heart racing. "I brought this for you," Obiora said, handing over a small woven basket. Inside was a roasted chicken, some ripe plantains, and a packet of chin-chin. Dinma was shocked. "What? God will bless you, my son. Thank you." He looked around. "Is Zara home?" Zara froze. Dinma looked back. "She's inside, but she's shy." Obiora smiled. "I understand. Tell her I just came to greet her. No pressure. I'll go now." As he walked away, Dinma shut the door and turned to Zara. "Did you see that? A fine boy like that. Rich, gentle, respectful. He came just to say hello." Zara sat down, biting her lip. "He will get tired one day. He will leave." Dinma frowned. "Maybe, but not because of your neck. Don't push away people who care, Zara. Life is too short." A few days later, things took another turn. Zara was helping Mama wash clothes at the stream when Chizom and her 2 loud friends walked in again. They dropped their buckets and started whispering loudly. One of them said, "See the neck that caught a rich man." Chizom walked closer. "You still don't have shame, after everything I said." Zara stood up. "I didn't beg him for anything." "But you took the food, you took the gifts, you and your hungry mother." Zara's heart sank. She clenched her fists. "Don't talk about my mother like that." Chizom laughed. "Or what? Will you hit me with your long neck?" Her friends burst into laughter. "Look, giraffe girl," Chizom said, stepping even closer. "Stay away from Obiora, or next time it won't be words I'll bring." Zara's eyes filled with tears again. She grabbed the wet clothes and ran off. The villagers around the stream all stared in silence. No one said a word. Some pitied her, some whispered. But none helped. When she got home, she dropped the clothes and cried out, "I didn't ask for this neck. I didn't ask for this life." Dinma came running and hugged her again. Zara sobbed. "I don't want Obiora. I don't want his gifts. I just want peace. I want to be normal." Dinma held her tightly and whispered, "Maybe you were not born to be normal, Zara. Maybe you were born to be extraordinary." Zara blinked. "What do you mean?" But Dinma just smiled. "One day you'll see." After many talks and gentle encouragement, Dinma was finally able to convince Zara. "My daughter," she said one evening as they sat by the fire, "you deserve to be loved. Obiora loves you, long neck or not. Don't let your fears stop you from being happy." Zara looked at her mama with teary eyes and nodded slowly. "I will marry him," she whispered. Dinma screamed in joy and danced around. "God, thank you. My daughter will wear a wedding attire." The wedding was like nothing the village had ever seen before. People came from far and near. Even villagers from other towns traveled to see it. Some climbed trees to get a better view. Some mothers lifted their children on their shoulders. Obiora's compound was decorated with beautiful cloths, flowers, and golden ribbons. There were big pots of rice, pounded yam, egusi soup, jollof, and bushmeat. But it was Zara that stole the show. She stepped out wearing a white flowing gown, with her long neck fully adorned with rows and rows of pure gold necklaces. From the top of her neck to the base, shiny gold covered her like a royal queen. She walked gently, slowly, and gracefully, like a cat on a red carpet. "Ah, is this not the same girl we used to laugh at?" someone asked. "See her neck. Even queens in the faraway city don't shine like this." People were amazed. Some couldn't close their mouths. Others whispered in regret. Zara didn't mind them. She smiled softly, knowing that the people who once mocked her now wanted to be like her. But she stayed calm and humble. She didn't show off. She didn't talk too much. She just smiled and held Obiora's hand. After the wedding, Zara moved into their mansion. The house was the biggest in the village. It had tiles, big chairs, a sparkling clean kitchen, and a tap that brought clean water. Something most villagers had never seen. People now wanted to be friends with her. Girls who once laughed at her now smiled fake smiles and waved from a distance. But Zara had only two real friends: Dinma, her mother, and Obiora, her husband. And that was enough for her. Then something strange happened. After a few months, the skies stopped giving rain. The farms dried up. The rivers shrank and disappeared. The animals in the forest ran away. No more grass to eat. Famine came upon the land. People cried. There was no food, no water. Their crops refused to grow. Even rich families started selling their goats to survive. But in Obiora's house, things were different. They had food, they had clean water, they had plenty of yam, rice, and meat. Obiora had stored enough food in his warehouse, and he dug a deep well in his compound that never dried. Every day people came to their gate with empty bowls. "Please, give us small food. My children have not eaten since yesterday. Help us, Zara." And Zara helped. She and Dinma packed food and shared water for many villagers. Some people came with shame on their faces because they had once mocked her. Zara gave them food anyway. She had a kind heart. One afternoon, an old, tired man arrived at their gate. His clothes were torn and his legs were dusty. His eyes were weak and he looked like he had not eaten for days. It was Okeki the hunter, Zara's real father. He didn't recognize her. He didn't know that the girl standing behind the gate, dressed in clean clothes, with a long neck and gold necklaces, was his own daughter. He bowed his head and spoke with a cracked voice. "Please, I'm hungry. I haven't eaten since morning, and I need water to take home." Zara didn't say much. She turned and called Dinma. "Mama, give him food and water. Let him rest." Dinma brought rice, meat, and a cup of water. She gave it to him with a smile. Okeke sat on the ground and ate slowly. As he ate, he kept looking at Zara. "Such beauty. Her long neck is so beautiful," he whispered to himself. "This one is a queen. She looks like what my daughter could have been. If only." He closed his eyes in pain, remembering the daughter he lost so long ago. After eating, he stood and bowed again, carrying his keg of water home. "Thank you. May God bless you all." He left, still thinking of Zara's beauty, still unaware that she was his blood. From that day, Okeki never stopped thinking about her. Each time he went to the forest and passed the road near Obiora's mansion, he paused and stared at the gate, hoping to see her again. "If only I had my daughter," he kept thinking, "she would have been this beautiful." But he did not know that his daughter, the one he thought was lost forever, was already standing behind that very gate. Zara, too, didn't know the man she had fed was her real father, the same man who had once cried when he thought his baby was stolen. Meanwhile, Chizome and her friends, the same girls who mocked Zara before, came to beg for food, too. They came with shame. They covered their faces with wrappers. Zara stood calmly, looking at them from the balcony. She said nothing. Dinma handed them food. They took it quietly and left. They tried to smile and wave, but Zara only nodded. They were embarrassed. They now wished to be friends with Zara, but it was too late. Their fake smiles were not enough to erase the pain they once caused. Now they saw her beauty. Now they wanted her friendship. But Zara was no longer that weak girl who cried at the stream. She was Zara, the golden-necked queen of the village. Did you enjoy this story? Do we continue it? Please don't forget to tell us where you are watching from. Old man Okeke could not rest. Each night he lay on his rough mat, tossing and turning from one side to the other. He would scratch his white beard and stare at the dark ceiling of his mud house. He did not know why, but the image of the beautiful young woman with the long neck and shiny gold jewelry refused to leave his mind. He even saw her face in his dreams, her gentle smile, her soft voice when she told him, "Eat well, Papa, we have enough." That same smile made his heart squeeze inside his old chest. He tried to wave the thoughts away. Ah, Okeke, you are an old man. Why can't you forget this girl? She is another man's wife. Maybe I am getting old and foolish, he said to himself. But still, her image stayed. One night, after turning many times on the bed, Okeke sighed deeply and decided to wake up his wife, Amara. Amara, who was sleeping beside him, grumbled when he tapped her shoulder. "Okeke, what is it again? Why are you waking me up in this cold night? Let me sleep, old man." But Okeke sat up and cleared his throat. "Amara, there is something I must tell you. It is about that young woman that gave me food that day in the rich man, Obiora's compound in that faraway village." Amara hissed and turned to face him. What about her? You have talked about her before. Must you wake me up to say it again?" Okeke shook his head slowly. "Number, listen well. That girl, her neck is very long, just like our baby's neck. The one you said people carried away when she was small. Her body shape, her face. Amara, she looks exactly like our lost daughter would look now if she was alive." Amara's eyes opened wide, but she quickly squeezed her face. "The gods forbid." "Okeke, don't say that nonsense. How can that girl be our daughter?" Okeke shook his head again. His eyes were watery. "Amara, I don't know, but my heart is not resting. Each time I see her face in my mind, my heart beats fast. What if it is her?" Amara hissed louder this time. She covered herself with the old wrapper and turned her back to him. "Sleep, old man. The girl is not ours. Let sleeping dogs lie, even if she is. Will she accept you now? Forget it." Okeke lay back down, but sleep refused to come. His heart told him the truth, but his mind was afraid to believe it. Meanwhile, in Zara's house, 1 year passed after the Great Famine. The sky opened its mouth again, and rain poured and poured. The villagers danced under the rain, shouting, "The gods have heard our cry." Green leaves returned to the dead trees. Rivers that cracked into dry sand now flowed again. Farms bore fresh crops. Yams, cassava, and maize filled the villagers' barns once more. Hunters returned from the forest with fat bushmeat. The animals were back to feed on the fresh grass. Everyone was happy, except some hearts that still carried wickedness. During the famine, many villagers knelt down before Zara and Obiora, thanking them for saving them from hunger and thirst. They called Zara Queen Mother and praised her beauty, ignoring her long neck. But now that the famine was over, many forgot her kindness. Some even started gossiping behind her back again. They said, who does she think she is? If not for Obiora's money, who would look at her? Look at that neck like giraffe. Yet Zara, now heavy with child, did not listen to gossip. She was happier than ever. Her belly was round like a new calabash. Her skin shone brighter than palm oil. Her gold necklaces covered her neck from top to bottom, making her look like a goddess each time she stepped out of her big house. Obiora doted on her like an egg. He brought her fruits every morning, rubbed her feet every night, and sat beside her even when she fell asleep. But far behind their big house, under the big tree, another storm was brewing. Olusi's jealousy returned like the returning rain. During the famine, she and her friends could not open their mouths. They humbled themselves, dressed like good girls, and always knocked at Zara's gate, smiling fake smiles just to get food. But now that they could feed again, their true colors shone again. One afternoon, Oluchi called her 3 closest friends, Amaka, Neka, and Ifunanya, to a secret meeting behind Zara's house. They sat on logs under the old mango tree where nobody could hear them. Oluchi's eyes were red with envy as she spoke. "Did you people see that girl yesterday? Did you see how she walked in the village square? Even with that, her long neck, she was catwalking as if she is the queen of the white man's land. Amaka snorted. I even greeted her, and she did not answer me. She thinks she is too big now, that her gold necklace is making her proud. Neka spat on the ground. If not for Obiora's money, who will look at her? A giraffe girl like that. She should calm down, she is feeling on top of the world. Owuchi crossed her legs and lowered her voice. I have called you people because I cannot stand her pride anymore. She took Obiora from me. Now she wants to take the whole village's respect too. Never. We must do something about her. Ifunanya's eyes widened. Owuchi, what are you planning? Don't bring troubles. Owuchi smiled wickedly. Relax. We will not touch her belly or do anything that will send us out of this village. I have a better plan. We will disgrace her so that when she walks on the road, people will laugh at her again. I swear she will regret ever snatching my Obiora. The girls looked at each other. They were afraid, but Owuchi's words made their hearts burn with evil excitement. Tell us the plan, Amaka whispered. Owuchi leaned closer and began to talk. As she spoke, the mango tree's leaves danced above them, hiding their wicked plan from innocent ears. Back inside Zara's home, Zara, who knew nothing about the secret meeting, sat on a soft chair in her big sitting room, rubbing her big belly and humming a sweet song. Dinma, her beloved mother, sat beside her knitting baby clothes. Obiora came in just then with a basket of ripe mangoes and roasted bushmeat. He knelt beside Zara and kissed her forehead. My queen, how is our prince or princess today? He asked with a wide smile. Zara giggled shyly. Our baby is dancing inside me, Obiora. I cannot wait to hold him or her in my arms. Dinma looked at them, and her eyes filled with tears of joy. If only people knew what this girl has gone through, she thought. But look at her now, shining like a star. As they laughed and ate, they did not know that behind their big fence, jealous mouths were plotting trouble that could shake their joy. Just a few days after Owuchi and her friends had their secret meeting under the mango tree, Owuchi decided to do something more dangerous. She wanted Obiora back at all costs, even if it meant using charms. So one very hot afternoon, Owuchi called her friend Amaka and whispered to her, Follow me, we are going somewhere today. Amaka asked, Where are we going, Owuchi? You didn't even tell me so I could wear better slippers. Owuchi hissed, Just follow me, I have found a strong solution. By the time I finish, Zara will pack her things and leave Obiora for me forever. Amaka was afraid, but she followed her friend. They walked through the narrow bush path until they reached a small dark hut, hidden deep inside the forest. In front of the hut, red cloths were tied to sticks, and cowries were scattered everywhere. The place smelled of burned herbs and old oil. They tiptoed inside and saw an old native doctor sitting on a low stool, chewing bitter cola. His eyes were red like fire. He looked at them and laughed, showing his brown teeth. My daughters, why are you here? He asked in a harsh voice. Owuchi knelt immediately. Baba, please help me. A certain girl used her witchcraft to snatch my husband-to-be from me. She tied him with her long neck and big gold. Now I am left with shame. Baba, I want him back. I want him to chase her away and marry me. Amaka kept quiet and bent her head. Her legs were shaking. She regretted following Owuchi, but it was too late to run away. The native doctor listened. He nodded and clapped his dry hands 3 times. He then turned to one corner and brought out 2 small wooden dolls, one male and one female. The dolls were carved crudely with charcoal eyes and red thread around their waists. He tied the 2 dolls back to back with a dirty rope. Then he spat on the floor 3 times and said some strange words Owuchi did not understand. Take this, he said, handing the dolls to Owuchi. Bury it behind the man's house very early in the morning before the cock crows. Do not let anybody see you. Once you do this, the man's heart will turn against the other woman. He will hate her and come back to you. But remember, if you open your mouth and tell anyone, the charm will fail and you will go mad. Owuchi's eyes shone with wicked excitement. She grabbed the dolls and thanked the native doctor. Amaka followed her outside, her heart beating like a drum. Early the next morning, before even the first cock crowed, Owuchi wrapped the dolls in a black cloth. She wore an old wrapper and tiptoed to the back of Obiora's big compound. She waited behind the fence until the security man by the wooden gate dozed off near the gate. Like a thief, she sneaked in through the backyard. She found a soft spot behind the big kitchen garden and dug the earth with her bare hands. She buried the dolls there and covered the spot with dry leaves so nobody would suspect anything. Sweaty and shaking, she ran away like a rat and reached her house before sunrise. She washed her hands, smiled to herself and whispered, "Zara, get ready to cry your eyes out. You think you have won? Never." That same day, a few hours later, Obiora returned home after supplying gold to some buyers in the city. But something was wrong. The moment he entered his compound, his eyes were hard like stone. The housemaids ran to greet him. "Welcome, sir." But he ignored them and walked past like they did not exist. Dinma, who was in the kitchen preparing soup for Zara, came out smiling. "Obiora, my son, welcome. How was the journey?" Obiora did not answer. He just looked at her as if she was not there and walked straight to his room, banging the door. Zara, who was resting on the sofa, heard the door slam and quickly stood up. She waddled to his room, her big belly leading the way. She pushed the door gently and said sweetly, "Obiora, my love, welcome back. I missed you." Before she could touch him, Obiora turned sharply and pushed her away. Zara stumbled and held her belly, shocked and afraid. Dinma rushed in. "Obiora, what is it? Why did you push your wife like that? She's carrying your child." But Obiora did not answer. He removed his shoes angrily, went into the bathroom and had a long shower. When he came out, he wore fresh clothes and sat on the edge of the bed. He pointed at Zara and Dinma. "Both of you sit down. I have something to say." Zara was crying quietly. Dinma held her hand to calm her down. They sat on the low couch. Obiora cleared his throat. His eyes were cold. "From today, I don't want to see you in this house again, Zara. I am tired of this marriage. Look at you. Your long neck disgusts me. People laugh at me behind my back. I can't take it anymore. I want my life back." Zara gasped. "Obiora, what did I do? Please don't say that. I love you, our baby." Obiora stood up sharply. "Stop. I don't want your love. I want Owumi. She is the one I truly love. She will come and live here as my wife. You can leave when you want or stay in the servants' quarters until you give birth." "I don't care," Dinma screamed. "Obiora, what is this you are saying? After everything this girl has done for you in this village? Are you mad, or did somebody charm you?" Obiora shouted back, "Keep quiet, Mama Dinma. Mind your mouth. My mind is made up. Owumi is coming this weekend. There will be a wedding here. Anybody who doesn't like it can leave my house." Zara fell on her knees, crying bitter tears. Dinma hugged her tightly, tears rolling down her own cheeks too. Just like that, before the villagers could understand what was happening, a big wedding took place right inside Obiora's compound. This time, it was not Zara in the bride's clothes. It was Owumi, wearing a loud red lace and gold earrings as big as frying pans. She walked around with pride, smiling wickedly at Zara, who sat in a corner, crying into Dinma's shoulder. Some villagers came, eating and drinking, but many looked at Obiora with pity and disgust. They whispered among themselves, "This is not ordinary. Someone has used juju on this man. See how he left his beautiful pregnant wife for this Owumi." When the wedding ended, Owumi raised her shoulders higher than ever. She ordered the domestic workers around, shouting at them, "You, come here, clean this place. You, sweep there, idiots." She even insulted Dinma once. "Old woman, carry yourself out of this place. I am now the madam here." The workers hated her immediately, but none of them could talk because Obiora obeyed her every word like a lost goat. Zara lay on her bed every night, her pillow soaked with tears. Her belly was so heavy now, but her heart was heavier. She looked at Dinma and whispered, "Mama, what did I do to deserve this shame? After all my prayers for Obiora, see what he did to me." Dinma rubbed her back, fighting her own tears. "My daughter, the gods are watching. This evil will not last. The same way rain fell after a long drought, joy will come back to you. Just wait." But how long would Zara have to wait? Owumi's wickedness grew worse day by day. Now that she had become the new queen of Obiora's house, she wanted Zara completely out of the way. Seeing Zara every day, still pregnant, annoyed her more than anything else. One evening, while lying on the big bed with Obiora, Owumi twisted her mouth and hissed, "Obiora, I am tired. That long-neck witch and that old poor woman still live here, eating your food. It is a disgrace to me. Chase them out tomorrow, they must go. I don't care where they go to, just do it." Obiora looked at her with dull eyes. The juju in his head made him behave like a goat. He only nodded. "Okay, my love. Anything for you." The next morning, while the sun was still mild and birds were singing on the mango tree, Obiora gathered some of his workers. He walked straight to Dinma and Zara's small corner of the big house, where they always stayed quietly. Dinma was plucking bitter leaf to cook for Zara, who had been weak and crying. Zara was inside, lying on the mat, rubbing her big belly and praying softly. Obiora did not greet. He shouted, "You people, come out now." Dinma quickly dropped the bitter leaf and wiped her hands on her wrapper. Zara struggled up and came out too. Her eyes were swollen from crying every night. Dinma said softly, "Obiora, my son, what is it? Why are you shouting?" Obiora frowned and pointed at them. "Both of you out. Leave my house this minute. You are no longer welcome here. Take nothing with you. Just leave." Zara gasped, holding her belly. "Obiora, please, please don't do this. Where do you want me to go? Our baby." Obiora shouted, "Shut up. You and your witch mother ruined my life. I don't want you here. Go back to where you came from." Dinma fell on her knees and raised her hands. "Obiora, you know I am like a mother to you. Have mercy. This girl is carrying your child. Where do you want us to go?" Obiora turned his face away, cold as stone. He signaled the workers. They opened the gate wide. He pointed out, "Now." Zara fell on her knees beside Dinma, crying. She held Obiora's feet, but he pushed her hand away roughly. At that moment, Owumi came out from the balcony, eating roasted corn. She laughed loudly. "Ha ha ha ha. Yes, go away. I don't want beggars in my husband's house. Out, 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 foolish people." Neighbors heard the commotion and peeped over the fence. Some covered their mouths in shock. Some women shook their heads, whispering, "Ah, this is too much. Zara does not deserve this." But none could help. Who would fight Obiora, the richest gold seller in the village? With no choice, Dinma and Zara picked up a small old bag. But Obiora's guard snatched it from them and threw it inside the compound. Owumi clapped her hands mockingly. "Ha ha ha. No bag for you. Go and join poor people like you." Holding each other, the two broken women walked out of the mighty gate. They looked back one last time. The gate slammed behind them like thunder. Zara and Dinma dragged their feet through the dusty road. Their feet were bare, their wrappers dusty, their hearts torn apart. Some children playing on the road pointed at them and laughed. Some old women passing by covered their mouths in pity. When they reached their old mud hut, Dinma paused and looked at it. The roof had holes. One side of the wall had cracked so deep that lizards freely entered and left. Dinma whispered to Zara, "My daughter, this is all we have now. God is our witness." Zara sat on the dusty floor, too tired to speak. She only wept, covering her face with both hands. Her big belly moved up and down as she sobbed. That night, they used old clothes to block the holes in the wall. Dinma borrowed a small pot from a neighbor and cooked a handful of gari and watery soup. That was all they ate before lying down on a thin mat. Zara could not sleep. She stared at the leaking roof, listening to crickets singing outside. Her mind played all the memories, how she and Obiora laughed together under the mango tree, how he promised to protect her forever. She wept quietly, so Dinma would not hear. But Dinma, too, was not sleeping. She stared at the ceiling, her chest heavy with sorrow. Thoughts piled in her head like firewood. I failed her. My poor Zara. See what life did to her. My heart cannot carry this pain. Days turned into weeks. Zara cried every night. She wished she could wake up from this nightmare. Sometimes she touched her belly and whispered, "My baby, don't worry. Mama will never leave you. We will survive." Neighbors who used to hail Obiora's name now shook their heads. Some mocked Zara behind her back, saying, "Who sent her to marry a rich man? Now see her condition." Some came by sometimes with leftover food. Some brought dried cassava, but many just watched her suffer. Dinma's sorrow doubled each day. She hid her tears during the day and cried alone at night. She barely slept. Her head hurt her always. Sometimes her hands would tremble for no reason. Her blood pressure rose higher and higher, but nobody knew. One night the moon was bright and silent. Dinma could not sleep again. She sat by the old clay pot outside, thinking and thinking. She whispered to the night breeze, "Oh God, if I die now, who will help Zara? Who will stand for her?" She did not know when sleep caught her there on the clay pot. She leaned her back on the wall and her eyes closed. By morning, when Zara came out to fetch water, she found Mama Dinma still sitting there. But something was wrong. Zara called softly, "Mama, Mama." No answer. She touched her shoulder, cold. She shook her, crying, "Mama, please wake up. Don't do this to me, Mama." Neighbors heard her loud scream and ran to the hut. They found Zara wailing, hugging Dinma's lifeless body. One old man pulled her back gently. "My child, let her go. She has gone to rest. Stop shaking her." Zara fell on the floor, crying, forgetting she was heavily pregnant. Her tears soaked the ground. She wished she could die too. Dinma's burial was small, but many villagers came, even some who once laughed at them. They saw Zara standing near the shallow grave, her big belly bouncing as she wept. Before the last sand covered Mama Dinma, Zara fainted and fell beside the grave. Two women lifted her up and poured cold water on her. She woke up slowly, whispering, "Mama, don't leave me alone. What will I do now?" That night, Zara sat alone in the old cracked hut. No food, no friend, no Mama Dinma, only silence and the sound of night crickets. She looked at her swollen belly and her mind began to wander into darkness. Maybe I should just end it all. Maybe the world doesn't want me and this baby. She thought bitterly, her eyes swollen from endless crying. Outside, the wind howled. The once beautiful gold queen was now a lonely shadow of herself, lost and broken. Amaka did not waste time. As soon as she heard that Dinma was dead and Zara was now alone, she quickly went to Aluchi's house. She knocked on the big iron gate and Aluchi herself opened it. She was wearing a long, expensive gown and chewing roasted corn. "Amaka, what brings you here this early morning?" Aluchi asked with pride in her voice. Amaka smiled and walked inside with her. "Aluchi, you won't believe what happened." That long-necked witch Zara cried and cried. Her so-called mother, that poor woman, died. Now she is alone in that old mud hut, pregnant like a goat with no helper. Aluchi laughed so loud that the necklace on her neck almost fell off. "Ha ha 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 ha. Good for her, let her suffer. She thought she could take my Obiora away from me." But Amaka's face turned serious. She lowered her voice and whispered in Aluchi's ear, "But listen, my friend, the charm you used on Obiora may not last forever. If Zara gives birth to that baby, the bond may break. The baby is like a key that can open his eyes again." Aluchi stopped laughing. She stood still. She slowly removed the corn from her mouth. "What did you say?" Amaka repeated in a softer voice. "If she gives birth, the charm may fade. You know what that means." Aluchi didn't answer. Her mind was already busy thinking evil thoughts. She pretended to laugh again so that Amaka would not suspect too much. "Don't worry, my friend. I know what to do," Aluchi said coldly. Amaka smiled, satisfied, and left the house. That whole night Aluchi did not sleep. She lay on her large bed beside Obiora, who snored like a huge animal. She kept opening her eyes, looking at the ceiling. The oil lamp on her dressing table flickered, showing her face hard, wicked, restless. This girl must not have that baby, she told herself. Never. The next morning, before the first cock crowed, Aluchi tied a big veil over her head and covered her face well. She dressed like an old woman so nobody would know her. She sneaked out through the back gate, carrying a small bag of money. She crossed 3 farm roads and entered a bush path that led to the next village. In that neighboring village lived some jobless bad boys. They always smoked, drank, and caused trouble for people. Owumi knew them because sometimes they helped her do secret dirty work. She met them under a big tree where they were playing and gambling. They stood up quickly when they saw her. "You came early today. What do you want us to do this time?" the leader asked, licking his dry lips. Owumi looked around to be sure nobody was watching. Then she spoke in a low, harsh voice. "There is a pregnant woman. She is alone now. I want her to disappear. Take her far away into the bush. Tie her up there. Do not kill her. Just keep her where nobody can see her until I say what next." The men laughed among themselves. One said, "You are too bad. But we like it. Bring money first." Owumi brought out the bundle of money from her bag and threw it on the wooden table. The leader counted it and nodded. "Consider it done, madam." For 2 days, the bad boys watched Zara carefully from far. They saw how she sat alone under the tree, how she cried at night, how she dragged her heavy belly to fetch water. One cold evening, when Zara had gone to the back of the hut to collect firewood, they pounced on her. She screamed once, but they covered her mouth quickly with dirty cloth. They tied her hands and blindfolded her eyes. Zara struggled, but her body was too weak. They carried her and ran deep into the bush, far, far away, crossing rivers and footpaths. They did not stop until they reached a thick bush that was 7 villages away. There they dropped her on dry leaves and tied her to a tree. Zara cried all night. Her body ached, her head turned. Her belly felt so heavy, and she was hungry, thirsty, and afraid. She tried to call for help, but only the wind answered her. The next afternoon, Owumi the old hunter was passing through that same bush. He was chasing a big bush rat when he heard a faint cry like a woman's voice. He stopped, held his hunting gun tight, and listened. Again the voice came very weak. "Help! Help me!" Owumi followed the sound. He pushed aside tall grasses and saw a shocking sight. A young woman with a very long neck tied to a tree like an animal. He dropped his hunting bag and ran to her. When he looked closer, he opened his mouth in surprise. "Ah, is this not the same beautiful woman who gave me food during the famine? What happened to her?" He quickly untied the ropes and removed the dirty cloth on her eyes. Zara could barely open her eyes. She saw an old man with kind eyes bending over her. "Papa, help me," she whispered weakly. Owumi carried her up like a baby. Though she was very heavy, he put her on his hunting bag and balanced her with his strong arms. He kept asking, "Who did this to you? What happened?" Zara could not talk much. She only managed to say, "My husband, the woman he wanted to marry, they hate me. They want me gone." Owumi did not understand everything, but he knew one thing. This woman must not die here. He said gently, "Don't worry, I will take you to my house. My wife will take care of you." Hours later, Owumi finally reached his compound. He was sweating and breathing hard, but still held Zara carefully. As he pushed open the wooden gate, his wife Amara was just coming out of the kitchen. She was carrying a pot of fresh vegetable soup. When she saw her husband carrying a weak young woman with a swollen belly, she froze like a statue. Her eyes fell on the woman's neck, that long neck shining under the sun. Her mouth fell open. Clang! The pot of soup slipped from her hands and crashed to the ground. Hot soup splashed everywhere, but Amara did not care. She covered her mouth with both hands and took slow steps backward. Owumi looked at her and said, "Amara, don't stand there like a ghost. Help me. This girl needs food and a bed now. Bad people tied her in the bush. I saved her." Amara did not speak. Her eyes were fixed on Zara's neck. Her heart started beating fast. Memories from many years ago flashed in her head. The baby she dumped in the bush because of a long neck. Could it be? No, impossible, Amara thought, fear and shame wrestling inside her. Owumi walked past her, carrying Zara gently into their small hut. He laid her on their old bamboo bed and covered her with a wrapper. Zara sighed softly, feeling a small hope that maybe she was safe at last. Amara stood by the door, her legs shaking. She could not believe her eyes. Inside her chest, her heart shouted, "This is your child. This is your blood." But her mouth refused to speak. Outside, the sun was setting. But for Amara and Owumi, A storm was rising inside their hearts, a secret about to break free. To support this channel, please like this video, tell us what you think about the story, and please don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. And where are you watching from? The next morning, the sun shone gently on the quiet village paths. Birds sang on the tall palm trees, and goats moved lazily across the road. Along one narrow bush path, Amaka was walking with so much pride in her steps. She held a small yellow flower in her hand, twirling it around and smelling it now and then. She smiled to herself as she thought about her new position in the village. In her head, she told herself, "I am now a special friend to Owumi, the wife of the richest man in this village. No one can talk to me anyhow again. They must respect me." As she walked, many villagers greeted her. Some said, "Amaka, good morning." But she pretended not to hear them. Some children playing by the roadside waved at her, but she just hissed and continued walking. Her mind was full of pride and big dreams. She kept imagining how she would eat fried chicken and drink sweet wine inside Obiora's big house today. She even planned to ask Owumi for a new wrapper and maybe some money. When Amaka finally reached the tall black gate of Obiora's mansion, she adjusted her wrapper, wiped her face with her scarf, and knocked 3 times. The gate opened slightly, and the security guard looked at her. "Who are you?" "What are you doing here?" he asked with his deep voice. Amaka cleared her throat proudly. "It's me, Amaka. Don't you remember me? Open the gate very well. I want to see your Madam Owumi. She is waiting for me." He scratched his head but opened the gate wider. Amaka walked in like a peacock, her shoulders high, her nose in the air. She entered the big compound, looking around at the beautiful flowers and the shiny tiled veranda. She was still smiling and about to sit on one of the chairs outside when she heard a loud voice behind her. "Amaka, where are you coming from, and who told you to come here?" Amaka turned quickly. It was Owumi. She was standing at the top of the veranda stairs, wearing a flowing lace gown with gold beads all over. Her eyes were hard and sharp like a knife. Amaka laughed shyly and bowed her head a bit. "Ah, my friend Owumi, it's me, your sister from another mother. I came to greet you this morning. I even brought you this flower." She raised the flower in her hand with shaky fingers, but Owumi did not smile. She came down 2 steps, placed one hand on her waist, and said in a strong voice, "Amaka, who is your friend? Who is your sister? I don't have poor empty girls as friends again. Look at you. Just see how you look like a village rat, and you dare step your dusty feet into my husband's compound." Amaka's mouth hung open. She did not expect this insult. "Ah, Owumi, are you joking with me? Me, Amaka, your close friend? Remember we planned everything together." Owumi laughed so loudly that her body shook. "Listen, village girl. I am no longer your mate. I am now a big madam. I only mingle with rich wives like me. I don't have time for hungry single girls who wear torn slippers. Leave my house this minute." Amaka could not believe her ears. Tears gathered in her eyes, but she tried to hold them back. "Please, Owumi, it's me, your best friend." But Owumi turned her back on her, clapped her hands, and called out to the guards. "Guards, guards, come here now. If this girl ever steps into this compound again, beat her and throw her out like a mad dog." The guards nodded immediately. One of the guards moved closer to Amaka and said, "Madam, please leave." Amaka's hands dropped weakly to her sides. She felt her whole body become hot and cold at the same time. She looked at Owumi again, but Owumi had already walked back into the house, swinging her waist proudly. Amaka turned around slowly, her head bowed. She dragged her feet out of the compound like a goat that was chased away from a barn. Amaka did not go home immediately. She felt too ashamed to face her mother and siblings, who had been advising her to stay away from Owumi. She thought of what to do and decided to go to the village square, where her other friends usually gathered under the big mango tree. When she reached there, she saw them all sitting on a bench, roasting groundnuts and gossiping. They looked up and saw Amaka's swollen red eyes. "Amaka, why is your face like this? Who beat you?" one of them asked, laughing. Amaka sat down heavily on the bench and burst into tears. She wiped her tears with her wrapper and said in a shaky voice, My people, Owumi has disgraced me. She drove me away from her house like a chicken. She said I am too poor to be her friend now. At first, her friends laughed because they thought it was a joke. One of them, Ngozi, slapped her knee and said, Amaka, stop playing. How can Owumi do that to you? You two are like twin sisters. Amaka shook her head, looking so pitiful. I swear on my father's grave. She insulted me in front of her guards. She said I should never come to her house again. I almost fainted. She called me a village rat. The other girls looked at each other in disbelief. They murmured among themselves. Ngozi stood up suddenly. I don't believe this story. Let us go there now and see with our own eyes. Maybe Owumi was just joking. She cannot talk to all of us like that. Yes, let's go, another girl shouted. They all stood up, brushed off the dust from their wrappers, and started marching towards Obiora's house. When they reached the gate, the guards were already standing there with strong faces and long sticks in their hands. Ngozi stepped forward and said boldly, Open this gate. Tell Owumi her friends are here to see her. One of the guards crossed his arms and frowned. Which friends? Madame Owumi said she does not have poor friends again. If you don't leave here, I will break your legs. The girls were shocked. They started shouting insults at the guards. You this useless gate man, do you know who we are? Owumi will sack you today if she hears you are insulting her friends. The noise attracted Owumi herself. She stepped out onto the balcony again, wearing a new flowing gown and chewing fried meat. She looked down at them from head to toe, a big smirk on her face. What is all this noise at my gate? What do these rats want here? Ngozi pushed forward, pointing a finger. Owumi, so we are now rats. After everything we did for you, you now call us poor. You have forgotten who planned things with you. Owumi laughed wickedly. Listen to me very well. I am now the wife of the richest man in this village. I have no time for hungry village girls. Leave my gate before I pour hot water on all of you. The girls were stunned. For a few seconds, nobody spoke. Then Owumi clapped her hands again. Guards, guards, drive them away now. The guards moved towards them, raising their sticks. Ngozi and the rest quickly gathered their slippers and wrappers and ran away from the compound, talking and crying at the same time. They looked like chickens who had just been beaten by heavy rain, wet, defeated, and humiliated. The sun rose gently that morning, pouring light into Elder Okiki's small hut. The wind moved slowly through the trees around the compound. Inside the hut, Zara sat alone on a wooden bed, looking at the walls made of mud and straw. Her belly was very big. Her baby would come very soon. She touched her tummy and whispered, My child, everything will be okay. She looked around the room. It was simple but clean. There were mats on the floor, a clay water pot in one corner, and a tiny window where the sunlight entered. She could hear chickens clucking outside and goats crying near the backyard. It reminded her of when life was peaceful in her big house with Obiora, before everything changed. Tears filled her eyes, but she wiped them quickly. Just then, the curtain at the door moved. Elder Okeki came in, holding a bowl of hot water to wash his face. When he saw Zara awake, he smiled gently. Good morning, my daughter. Did you sleep well? He asked in his calm voice. Yes, Papa, I did. Thank you so much for rescuing me from the bush, Zara said with her soft voice. Okeki nodded and sat down on a small stool near her bed. He watched her face carefully. Her eyes looked so much like his own. Her long neck, her calm face, everything made his heart heavy. But he said nothing yet. Outside the hut, his wife Amara was boiling yam on the open fire. She turned the wooden spoon round and round, but her mind was not at rest. She kept remembering how she dropped her baby in the bush many years ago, and now the same young woman was here, the same long neck, the same gentle eyes. Her hands shook so much that she nearly poured hot water on her foot. She quickly covered the pot, looked towards the hut, and sighed deeply. She knew she had done evil, but she did not know how to face it now. Inside the room, Zara heard the cock crow over and over again and decided to step out and greet Amara properly. She stood up slowly, balanced her heavy belly, and walked gently outside. She saw Amara turning the yam on the fire. Good morning, Mama, Zara said with a small smile and bent slightly as she used to greet Dinma. Amara turned quickly, their eyes met, but Amara felt a sharp pain in her chest. She could not bear to look at Zara's face because it reminded her of the sin she committed long ago. Without saying a word, Amara dropped the wooden spoon on the ground and quickly walked behind the hut, hiding herself. Zara was surprised. She turned and looked, but could not see Amara again. She went back inside and sat on the bed, feeling sad. A few minutes later, Okeki came in again with a covered wooden tray. He dropped it near her bed. "Eat your yam, my daughter," he said. Zara looked at him with questioning eyes. "Papa, is Mama angry with me? She ran away when I greeted her." Okeki sighed. He sat beside her on the bed. He touched her shoulder gently. "My daughter, don't worry about Mama. She is only shy. She will come around. Just rest and eat well for the baby, okay?" Zara nodded slowly, but deep in her heart, she felt a strange worry. Later that afternoon, Okeki finished his hunting preparations and called Amara to the back of the hut. "Amara," he said firmly, "why are you behaving like this to the poor girl? She has no one but us now. She is innocent." Amara's lips trembled. She held her wrapper tightly. "Okeki, I feel like dying each time I see her face. She is my shame. I can't face her. I can't." Okeki frowned slightly. "I don't understand what you mean," he said. Amara fell on her knees under the orange tree behind the hut. She began to cry bitterly. "Forgive me, my husband. I was young and foolish. I feared the people's mockery. I didn't know how to raise a child with a neck like that. I left her there in the bush to die." Okeki's eyes became wet. "What? You abandoned your own child in the bush? I knew it. I never believed that story. My own blood. My child. No wonder God didn't bother to give me another," he said and cried bitterly. "Please forgive me," Amara said in tears. He bent down and lifted her up slowly. "Well, what is done is done. We must make peace now. Let's go inside." Together they walked into the hut where Zara sat, plaiting her hair with a small comb. She saw them and quickly stood up. Amara's eyes were red with tears. Okeki sat down first and held Zara's hand. "Zara," he began in a low voice, "Mama wants to ask you something." Amara swallowed hard and asked, "My daughter, where are you truly from? Who are your parents?" Zara was quiet for a moment. She looked down at her fingers. Her voice was tiny when she spoke. "My late mother, Dinma, always told me that she found me in the bush. She said I was a crying baby lying on dry leaves. She picked me up, fed me, and loved me like her own. I don't know my real father or mother. She was the only family I had." When she finished, the small room was very silent. Even the birds outside seemed to stop chirping. Okeki quickly sat up, staring at her long neck and calm face. He covered his mouth with his palm to stop himself from crying out loud. Amara fell on her knees in front of Zara, held her legs and cried out, "Forgive me, my child, forgive me. I am the mother who left you in that bush many years ago. I was weak, I was afraid. The villagers mocked me and called you a snake-necked baby. I was young and foolish, please forgive me." Zara's mouth dropped open, her eyes widened as tears fell freely. She touched Amara's head with shaking hands. "Mama, you are my mother, truly." Okeki could not hold it any longer. He burst into tears, hugged Zara so tightly and said, "Yes, my daughter. I knew there was something special about you the first day I saw you. You brought blessings when you gave me food. Now the gods have brought you back to us. Please forgive your mother. She regrets it." Zara could not speak well through her tears. She just nodded her head and cried with them, feeling pain and joy together in her chest. After some time, Okeki wiped his eyes and went outside. He gathered his hunting friends. They brought big drums and sharp knives. They went into the forest and hunted down 2 big antelopes and some fat grass cutters. They returned, singing songs and carrying the meat high above their heads. Women from nearby huts came with firewood and big clay pots to help cook the meat for a family celebration. But Amara quietly went to Zara's room, sat beside her, and held her hand. She said, "My daughter, you will not eat the bushmeat. I don't want what happened when I ate giraffe meat to happen again. That was how I gave birth to you with this long neck." Please eat yam and fish only until your baby comes." Zara smiled weakly and nodded. "Yes, Mama, I understand." Outside, the men danced and shared meat, drums beating loud through the evening air. But inside the hut, Zara rested her head on her mother's lap, feeling the first warmth of family she had missed all her life. That night in Elder Okeki's small mud hut, the air was heavy. The oil lamp on the wall flickered gently. Zara lay on a mat on the ground, crying out in pain. Her hands grabbed the edge of her old wrapper tightly as another wave of pain hit her belly. "Ah, Papa, Mama, the baby is coming," Zara screamed, sweat rolling down her face. Beside her, Amara knelt and wiped Zara's forehead with a wet cloth. Her own heart was beating fast because she was worried. Elder Okeki stood at a corner, holding his hunting stick, pacing up and down like a lion in a cage. He could not watch his daughter suffer. "Zara, you will be fine, my child. The gods are with you," Okeki said, but his own hands were shaking. The old village midwife, a bent woman with missing teeth, knelt between Zara's legs, encouraging her. "Push, my daughter. It is almost here. Push like a strong woman." Zara gritted her teeth, screaming again and again as pain tore through her back. Tears and sweat mixed on her face, but she remembered Dinma's gentle voice in her mind. "Zara, be strong always." Outside the hut, the night was quiet, except for a few owls hooting on trees. Inside, Zara gave one final loud cry and pushed with all her strength. Suddenly, the loud cry of a baby filled the hut. "It is here! It is here! It is a baby boy," the old midwife shouted happily. Okeki dropped his hunting stick and shouted, "A boy! The gods have given us a grandson." Amara hugged Zara tightly, tears running down her own face. She remembered how many years ago she had dropped Zara as a baby in the bush because of her long neck. But now the same Zara had given her a grandson. Zara held her baby weakly, looking into his tiny face. He was so small, so warm, so innocent. She kissed his forehead and whispered, "My son, my strength. Thank you for coming to me." Far away, at that exact moment, Obiora was lying in bed beside Oluchi. He had managed to sleep after turning around and around for hours, but as soon as Zara's baby let out his first cry in Elder Okeki's hut, Obiora's eyes popped open. He sat up on the bed, breathing fast, his heart beating like a drum. Oluchi woke up, frowning. "Why are you behaving like this, Obiora? Can't you sleep? What is your problem again?" Obiora held his chest. "I felt something. I felt something leave me. I can't explain it, but I feel different. I feel light." Oluchi hissed and turned her back. "You worry too much. Sleep, please." But Obiora did not sleep again. He sat on the bed till morning, his mind thinking of only one person, Zara. As the sun rose, Obiora forced himself to dress up. He told Oluchi he was going to the city to supply gold. She did not care. She was busy rubbing coconut oil on her lips in front of her big mirror. Obiora got out fast. He felt as if a voice was calling him back home. His eyes were moist, but he did not know why. As he walked along the narrow village road, he saw a familiar figure ahead. Amaka, Oluchi's gossip friend. She was swinging her rubber bag and looking left and right like a thief. Obiora slowed down and called out, "Amaka, what are you doing here this early?" Amaka's eyes widened. She rushed to him and bent down to greet him. "Chief Obiora, good day. I think I must talk to you now. Thank the gods I saw you here. It is about Oluchi." Obiora frowned. "What is it? Speak now." Amaka swallowed hard and whispered, "Chief, Oluchi used charm on you. She went to the native doctor. She did bad things so you would hate your real wife, Zara. She even paid boys to kidnap Zara. I swear I am telling you the truth because my heart is heavy." Obiora's head spun. "What? What are you saying? You mean she charmed me?" Amaka nodded quickly, looking left and right. "Yes, Chief. She tied dolls behind your house. She buried them so you would never leave her. It is wickedness. I could not sleep again. I had to tell you." Obiora felt as if something broke inside his brain. He turned back immediately and raced home without looking back. When Obiora reached the house, he pushed open the gate and stormed inside like a lion that lost its prey. Oluchi was in the sitting room eating roasted meat and sipping palm wine. She looked up and laughed. "My husband, you are back so soon. Did you miss me?" Obiora's face was red. His chest heaved with anger. He pointed at her. "Oluchi, did you use charm on me? Did you pay bad boys to take Zara away? Tell me now." "Who told you?" she asked, already trembling. "I said tell me now," Obiora yelled. Oluchi dropped the meat. Her hands began to shake. She fell on her knees and started crying. "My husband, I am sorry. It was love. I didn't want to lose you. I loved you too much. Yes, I did it. I tied the dolls. I paid the boys. Forgive me." Obiora suddenly felt a burning pain behind his eyes, like fire. He screamed and fell on his knees. "Zara! Zara! Where is my wife? What did I do?" He jumped up and ran from one room to another, pulling open cupboards and shouting her name, even though he knew she was not there. Suddenly, Oluchi stopped crying and burst into mad laughter. She pulled off her gold necklace, threw her bangles on the floor, and tore her wrapper off her waist. "Ha ha ha ha, you fool! You will never find her. You treated her like a dog. Ha 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 ha." She ran out of the house half naked, screaming and laughing like a crazy woman. The guards watched her, confused and shocked, but nobody could stop her. She disappeared into the bush path, still laughing and talking to herself. Inside the compound, Obiora dropped on the ground in front of his big house. He buried his face in his hands and wept like a baby. His heart burned with guilt and shame. He whispered through tears, "Zara, forgive me. I was blind. I was a fool." He stood up shakily and went to Zara's old house. It was quiet and empty. Neighbors watched him with pity. He asked about Zara, but nobody knew where she was. He walked behind the house and saw Dinma's small grave under the mango tree. He knelt there, touching the cold sand. "Mama Dinma, I failed you. I failed your daughter. I swear by the gods I will find Zara. I will beg her till my last breath. Forgive me, Mama Dinma. Forgive me." Obiora's tears fell like rain on the lonely grave. That same hot afternoon, after crying at Dinma's grave, Obiora wiped his tears, stood up, and made a big decision. He would not rest until he found Zara. He walked back to his big compound, called all the young men in the village, and told his guards to open the gates wide. When the village boys gathered, Obiora came out with a big leather bag. He opened the bag in front of them. It was full of money. "My people," Obiora shouted, his voice shaking, "this money is for you. Help me find my wife, Zara. She was taken from me by evil. I want my wife back. Search every bush, every river, every road, every hut. Bring my wife home, and the gods will bless you all." The boys jumped up and down, clapping and praising Obiora. They carried the money bag and shared it among themselves. Without wasting time, they ran in different directions. Some went deep into the forest. Some ran to faraway villages. Some asked people on the road, "Have you seen a pretty young woman with a long neck? She is carrying a baby." The search did not take long. By evening, a group of the young men reached the peaceful village where Elder Okeki lived. They saw children playing in front of Okeki's hut. They asked the children if they had seen a woman with a long neck and a baby. One child pointed at Okeki's compound, saying, "She is inside there. Grandfather Okeki brought her here. She is his daughter." The boys were so happy, they ran back home quickly to deliver the good news. They told Obiora everything. Obiora did not wait 1 second. He jumped on his horse, carried 2 goats and some fresh wine, and rode as fast as the wind to Okeki's village. When Obiora arrived at Okeki's compound, the sun was almost setting. He saw Okeki sitting on a wooden chair, plucking palm fruits. Zara was inside the hut, singing softly to her baby, who slept on her lap. Obiora jumped down from his horse and fell on his knees in front of Okeke. Tears poured down his face like water from a broken pot. "Father Okeke, please forgive me. Thank you so much for helping me take care of my wife. I learned she's here." "The rich man, Obiora!" Okeke screamed with a dropped jaw. He quickly helped Obiora up and dusted his clothes. "Zara, your husband is here," screamed Okeke. Zara stepped out slowly, her baby tied on her back with a clean wrapper. When she saw Obiora, she stopped. Her heart beat fast. "We have a baby!" Obiora gasped as soon as he saw her. He knelt and crawled to her feet, held her legs and cried, "Zara, my wife, forgive me. I was blind. Oluchi used charm on me. Please come back to me. I will worship the ground you walk on. I will never hurt you again." Zara looked at him and remembered all the pain, but she also remembered how Dinma had taught her to have a forgiving heart. She looked at her baby, then at her real father, Okeke, who nodded slowly at her. "Zara, my daughter," Okeke said gently, "forgive him. He has suffered enough." Zara sighed and wiped her own tears. She bent down and touched Obiora's head. "I forgive you. Stand up, Obiora. Be a father to our son. Be a good man from today." Obiora stood up shaking, hugged his son and kissed his tiny forehead over and over, his tears dropping on the baby's small head. Obiora did not stop there. He went back to his big house and brought another bag of money. He also brought a beautiful, strong horse decorated with colorful cloth and shiny bells. Zara was bathed and dressed in the finest clothes. Her neck was adorned with golden beads. Her wrists and ankles shone with gold bangles. She carried her baby gently and sat like a queen on the decorated horse. Obiora walked behind the horse. Okeke and Amara walked beside him. They left Okeke's village slowly with music from local drummers following them. As they moved along the bush path back to Obiora's village, Obiora opened the second bag of money. He threw the money into the air as they walked. Children, women, and men screamed in joy, picking the flying notes from the dust. Some women tied the money into their wrappers and danced behind the horse, singing songs of praise. When they reached Obiora's big compound, the gates were wide open. Obiora's guards had already prepared a big celebration. Fat cows were tied under the mango tree, big pots of soup were on fire, and fresh palm wine flowed like a river. Obiora lifted his baby up to the sky and shouted, "My son, may the gods bless you. May you never suffer like your father did. May your mother never cry again. May our home be filled with love forever." The villagers clapped and cheered. They danced around Obiora and his family. Meat was roasted. Palm wine was shared in big calabashes. Children played and laughed. The entire village smelled of pepper soup and happiness. Okeke and Amara sat on two carved wooden chairs beside Obiora's throne. They looked like a king and queen. Everyone came to greet them with gifts, yams, goats, fresh vegetables. People who never spoke to Okeke before now greeted him with big smiles, calling him father of the golden-necked queen. Obiora did not stop at the celebration. He gave Okeke lands, bags of gold, and new hunting guns. Okeke, the poor old hunter, now became the richest man in his village. People respected him so much. When he walked in the village square, people greeted him and knelt down. Even those who once mocked him and his wife Amara now laughed at everything he said, even when it was not funny. Amara too walked with pride. She was now a grandmother to the powerful Obiora's son. She smiled widely every day. She never stopped thanking the gods for giving her a second chance to love Zara again. Zara looked more beautiful than ever. Her neck was long and graceful, like a royal necklace. She was now loved and respected. No one dared to mock her again. Women from far and near came to greet her and touch her baby's feet for blessings. Obiora changed too. He treated Zara like a queen. He would sit beside her every evening, playing with their son and telling him stories of bravery and love. He built a new grave for Dinma, placing flowers there every week. After all the pain, betrayal, shame, and regret, love won in the end. Obiora, Zara, Okeke, and Amara found peace, wealth, respect, and joy. The village sang songs about Zara's strength and forgiveness for many years. Children born many years later still heard the story of the beautiful woman with the golden long neck who forgave her husband and brought peace back to her family. Did you enjoy this story? Please let us know in the comments if you did. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. We love you.